The women of this village have never eaten red strawberries because the entire village is extremely afraid of the color red. If they see any plant that is red, they immediately uproot it and bury it. People of this village can never leave because it could cost them their lives. Surrounding the village is a forest inhabited by terrifying monsters. Many years ago, the village ancestors made an agreement with the monsters. The monsters wouldn't harm the villagers as long as no one from the village set foot in the forest. However, a mentally unstable boy named Lucas went into the forest and brought back red-colored fruit, breaking the agreement between the monsters and humans. That same night, a boy hears a strange noise and sees that a monster has entered the village. He immediately starts ringing a large bell to wake up all the villagers. Hearing the bell, the villagers begin to hide to escape from the monster. Meanwhile, a blind girl named Evie, who lives in the village, gets very scared after hearing the monster's roar. The monster is approaching her. Now, let's find out what happens next in this story. Friends, the story begins in the 19th century, where we are shown a village called Pennsylvania. Although there is every kind of happiness in this village, no one can ever leave it. The village is surrounded by high walls, and there is also a watchtower where someone is always on guard. Actually, this village is in the middle of a forest, but the villagers have no contact with any other village, and those who live inside never go outside. There is no money used here. Everyone respects each other, and anyone can marry anyone else. But there is one rule about marriage. If someone likes someone, they never hold their hand until they are married. Now, the senior people here are called elders. One of these elders loses his daughter to an illness. Unfortunately, this village lacks any good medical facilities, making it impossible to treat any illness here. The next morning, everyone is shown sitting together, eating, when suddenly strange noises start coming from the forest, causing everyone to panic. But there is one boy here, whose mental condition is not well. His name is Noah. He starts laughing, but no one bothers or makes fun of him because everyone in this village loves and supports each other. On the other hand, it is shown that a dead animal is found in the village. Following this, all the elders hold a meeting to discuss who might have killed the animal. Then, a young man named Lucius comes in and pleads with the elders to let him leave the village so that he can bring medical facilities to their village. He argues that there must be other villages around them, and that one of their companions just died due to illness. If they had medical facilities, they could have saved him. However, Lucius's request is completely denied. The reason for this refusal is that the creatures in the forest used to attack the village, but the elders made an agreement with them. No one from the village would ever leave, and in return, creatures wouldn't attack. The elders do not want to break this agreement, as if they do, creatures will come into the village and attack them again. The agreement with the creatures was made solely by the elders. The elders had seen the creatures, but the new generation had not. However, the new generation often hears the creature sounds from the forest and frequently finds many signs of their presence. Therefore, they know that creatures live around the forest. Lucius, unafraid of these creatures, wants to go into the forest but is not allowed. In the same village, there is a girl named Evie, cannot see. Her senses and mind are very sharp. She, along with Noah, goes to Lucius and tells him, "I know why you don't hold my hand because you love me," and it is true that Lucius loves Evie. Noah, whose mental condition is unstable, is also there with Lucius. Lucius notices that Noah is holding a red fruit found in the forest. The color red is never brought into this village, whether it be red clothes, flowers, or fruits. Whenever anything red is seen in the village, it is buried in the ground. Lucius now understands that Noah had gone into the forest and the creatures did not harm him because of his innocence. Once again, Lucius goes to the elders and tells them that Noah had the red fruit, which is only found in the forest. This means Noah went into the forest, and due to his innocence, the creatures did not harm him. Lucius says, "I am not afraid of the creatures either, so I want to go to another village and bring medical facilities here. Please allow me to do this." However, the elders once again refuse his request. Determined to bring medical facilities to the village, Lucius decides to leave the village boundary the next morning. despite everyone's objections. During his attempt, he sees a shadow in front of him, which is one of the creatures. Quickly retreats back inside the boundary. That night, the person on watch duty in the watchtower sees a shadow beneath the tower, which is also a creature's shadow. He gets terrified and starts ringing the bell loudly. Hearing the bell, the villagers get scared. All the houses in the village have basements, and whenever they sense danger, everyone hides in these basements. However, Evie is still outside, waiting for Lucius. Lucius arrives and takes her to the basement. Throughout the night, they hear the creature's sounds. The next morning, when the villagers come out of their basements, they see a red mark on every door, which makes them realize that the agreement with the creatures is now broken. The creatures have given them a warning. The entire village holds a meeting, and the elders are worried about how this could have happened. Lucius then explains that he had gone outside the village boundary and saw a creature there. This is why the creatures entered the village last night. Everyone knows that Lucius's intentions are good for the village, though they forgive him. Lucius is then warned never to leave the village boundary again. Meanwhile, Evie's sister gets married, bringing happiness to the whole village. After the wedding, when people return to their homes, they find dead animals hanging outside their houses. Seeing the animals' bodies, everyone gets scared again, fearing that the creatures might come back. Lucius goes to Evie's house, and they sit together, deciding that they will get married soon. The next morning, Noah, whose mental condition is not good, gets very angry because he has liked Evie since childhood. His feelings of revenge arise, and he ends up stabbing Lucius with a knife. Lucius's condition becomes very critical, and his chances of survival are slim due to the lack of medical facilities in the village. Noah is then locked in a room used to punish those who commit wrongdoings. This room is known for its purpose of holding people who have misbehaved. Since Noah often causes trouble, he is confined in this room. When Evie learns that Noah has injured Lucius with a knife, she becomes very sad. Her father, Edward, one of the village elders, tells her, "Even when you lost your eyesight, I couldn't do anything." Edward expresses his desire to go into the forest, but his wife forbids him, reminding him of their promise. Now, Evie decides that she will cross the forest and bring medical facilities to their village. Her father, Edward, supports her and, going against the other elders, gives her permission. Before she begins her journey, Edward takes her to a special secret room and reveals many secrets that no one had known before. Evie is accompanied by two boys from the village who are very scared during the journey, but Evie is fearless, with no trace of fear on her face. This is because Edward had revealed the village's secret to her in the secret room. He explained that there are no creatures in the forest. The creatures seen in the village are actually some of the elders dressed in costumes to prevent anyone from leaving the village. Knowing the truth, Evie has no fear. The two boys, however, are terrified because they hear the sounds of creatures from the forest, so they return to the village. Evie, undeterred, continues because her father told her that the sounds are made by devices placed in the trees by the elders, which make noise when the wind blows. Meanwhile, back in the village, the elders are angry with Edward for sending his daughter into the forest. They say that their years of hard work to create a safe place will now be exposed to the world. Edward reassures them that nothing will be revealed because he has explained everything to Evie. Evie is shown progressing through the forest. Suddenly, she falls into a large pit but manages to climb out. She starts hearing creature sounds, despite her father's assurance that there are no real creatures. According to village lore, there were creatures long ago that imitated humans. Evie breaks a stick, and when she hears the sound of a stick breaking in response, she throws a stone and hears a stone being thrown back. She realizes that there are actual creatures in front of her and starts running in fear. The creature is shown chasing her. Using her heightened senses, Evie escapes and stands in front of the pit she had fallen into earlier. Knowing the creature is behind her, she moves aside at the last moment, causing the creature to fall into the pit. Back in the village, the elders go to the secret room where Noah was being held captive, but they find that Noah is no longer there. In the secret room, The elders find a hidden passage along with various items and animal skins. This reveals that the animals being killed in the village were not the work of the elders but Noah. Despite his mental imbalance, Noah is very sharp-minded and had discovered the costume that the elders used to wear while roaming the forest. This meant that Noah knew the elders' secret and would venture into the forest whenever he pleased. Just as the elders were manipulating the villagers' minds, Noah was also manipulating the elders. However, he loved Evie deeply. When he learned that Lucius was going to marry Evie, he lost control and tried to kill him, resulting in Lucius being severely injured. The creature that chased Evie in the forest and fell into the pit was actually Noah, who is now dead. Evie continues her journey, following the secret path her father, Edward, had shown her. She climbs a high wall and sees a road. A car arrives, and a police officer steps out. It's revealed that this is not the 19th century, but the 24th century. Our current time, the area beyond the wall is an animal sanctuary, and no one ventures there, nor do planes fly over it, which is why the villagers never realized they were living in a different era. The elders knew this truth because they created the village. Evie tells the police officer that she needs medical help, and hands him a letter her father gave her along with a gold watch, as the village doesn't use money. Although the officer initially considers informing his superiors, he decides to help after seeing Evie's sincerity and distress. He provides her with some medicines and leaves her where he found her. Evie returns to her village and gives the medicine to her father, Edward. The medicine is administered to Lucius. She tells everyone that she encountered a creature in the forest, but it is now dead. Noah's parents understand that Noah has died but choose not to disclose this to anyone. The villagers still harbor fear of the creatures in their hearts. Now the question arises, why did the elders create these creatures in the first place? In 1972, when Edward was a professor, he used to counsel people who were deeply troubled. The cause of their sorrow was the increasing crime in the world, which had led to the loss of their loved one. So Professor Edward and these people devised a plan to create a village where no one could leave and no outsider could enter. Professor Edward, Evie's father, was very wealthy due to his family's inheritance. He used this money to buy the entire area and build the village in its center. He also funded the police to ensure that no one attempted to cross the wall, which is why the police patrolled the roads surrounding the wall to prevent anyone from entering. Additionally, Edward provided funding to the government to ensure no planes flew over that area. Evie testified that she killed a monster in the forest, instilling fear in the villagers once again. Thus, their secret remains safe, and the villagers will continue to live a life that resembles one from 200 years ago. All the children who came to the village were very young at the time and have now grown up, so they don't remember anything else. And with that, the story concludes. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for subscribing to our Flick Recap channel.